Yeah.
What is good, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Major Push Wrestling, the talk show where we give wrestling the major push that it deserves. I am your host, Papa Gino Nachef, and I'm here to discuss another week of wrestling and what we have going on all across the landscape, but with one thing in mind in particular. But I am not alone today. For our 30th episode, we have a full crew here. We've got some originals, we've got some of the newer members, and we've got some first timers here. So I'm going to throw it around. You guys can introduce yourselves. So we've got C-Rod here. C-Rod has been with me for a while, since the beginning. C-Rod, how are you doing?
Doing well, brother. Good to be back. Excited to talk some wrestling here. There's been a lot of changes, since last time I was on, and I'm here. I'm happy to be here with the big, beautiful bunch that we have.
Absolutely, we're happy to have you, and thank you as always for bringing the shirt that we love to have on there. So thank you very much. So I'm going to throw it over now to Noah, the best dressed man on the internet talking professional wrestling. Noah, the simple man. How we doing?
Doing well, Gino. This is different. And hello, everybody. I am the simple man of the simple brand, the voice of the SRS for a grip for all things professional wrestling. Damn it. My name is Noah Foster, working with Gino, No DQ, and multiple others in out of YouTube. So I figure why not dive into this venture and support a friend on his own podcast endeavor. This should be interesting. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. And Noah, he's basically recording or live every single night of the week. So my man is Mr. No Days Off at this point as well. Thank you, Noah. We've got Dave, part of my No DQ. Most of the guys here I met through No DQ, but Dave is part of the Florida, specifically the Tampa chapter of the No DQ review family. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Gino. Thank you for having me. It's good to meet C-Rod, my first time, and of course to be with my pals Noah and Oofman on the panel to help you get some views out there and give everybody a thumbs up for the videos. Gino does a great job.
Thank you very much, Dave. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys, and you guys will be bringing more entertainment and content to this by sharing your unfiltered opinions. And hopefully, whether you're watching live or on demand, we appreciate that. And we love to hear what you guys have to say. Do you agree or disagree? And that brings me to the producer, the switchboard operator, the man on the ones and twos, Oofman, the Oofman. How you doing today, bud?
Doing good, brothers. Good to see you again. And everybody, this should be interesting. Baseball is back. I am so excited. The World Baseball Classic was good. But now, officially tonight, MLB has returned. My boys actually play tomorrow, but I am psyched for the new baseball season. But more psyched to talk with you fine gentlemen over professional lucha libre, as I always say. So I think, Gino, it's time to get this show started.
Absolutely. Now, I know everybody usually comes here to hear me complain and rant about the stuff I don't like, but stay tuned because we will get there. So tonight's main umbrella topic is going to be about the GOAT, the greatest of all time, my childhood hero, my former camp counselor from Western Ring, Massachusetts. You can't get Bret Hart off of his mind, but no, it is actually John Cena, the never seen 17, which 17 is also my lucky number. So other than main eventing WrestleMania against him for the WWE Championship, that's really he's really given me everything I could have ever wanted out of that. So the thing is, he retired last year. He had a whole retirement run. Whether or not you think he's going to stay retired or not, we will discuss that. But Cena, on his retirement tour, he talked about wanting to put over younger talent. He talked about wanting to showcase the newer faces and gimmicks and all these types of things that are happening in the WWE right now. And so much so that on his retirement night, he wanted it to showcase the younger talent. And we had a few people who, the guys I was watching it with, had never heard of Obafemi, never heard of Sol Ruca, and you best believe they are fans of them now because of what happened on that Saturday night's main event. But more than that, he has had a sphere of influence just in his retirement tour alone. Some of it good, some of it okay, and some of it is just piss poor. And I cannot wait to delve into that, the third of those options. But we're going to start with the good because I think there's far too little good on the internet. So we're going to start with this. So Cena had Brock squash him at the whatever the event, WrestlePalooza. It's such a forgettable name that I almost blanked on it here. But that's not necessarily the good part. The good part is hopefully that's leading to Brock putting over Obafemi, which I think is a good thing for the sphere of influence. Liv Morgan, she interfered in the Intercontinental Championship rematch, or however you want to look at it, when Cena had the championship in San Diego at Survivor Series, and now Liv won the Royal Rumble. Great rub. Cena wrestled against CM Punk and Randy Orton when he was a heel, and when Cena was a heel, of course. And now they're both in World Championship main event of WrestleMania main events. So I would say that's a pretty good sphere of influence. Jey Uso beat him in the Royal Rumble and then went on to win the World Heavyweight Championship. More on Jey Uso in one of the other sections in a little bit. R-Truth, he had a one-on-one match that C-Rod and I were actually present for, as well as Matthew from the No DQ family, and who will be on in a future episode. And R-Truth is now back with the company after having whatever had happened with his contract. The rumors were that he wasn't re-signing or that he was already let go or whatever have you, but Cena worked with Truth, and now we have Ron Cena and all of those things that came from that. I think that is one of the good sphere of influences. Cody is back to being WWE champion after losing it to Drew and then beating Drew again. More on Cody later. He had probably, I would say definitely the match of the year with AJ Styles at one of those overseas events. Crown Jewel. Yes. I was like, Clash in Paris. No, that doesn't sound right. Crown Jewel. You're absolutely. And now AJ Styles is going into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Cena's match with him isn't the reason he's going into the Hall of Fame, but I still think that sphere of influence is there, and that is one of the good things. And then Gunther retired Cena and then went on to retire AJ Styles. Would I love for them not to be retired? Of course. But as far as the sphere of influence for professional wrestling, that was a good thing that, at least at the beginning, was good. And more on Gunther later. And then Seth Rollins, who was in the Elimination Chamber with Cena, had all that stuff leading to the Cena heel turn. And then Seth won Money in the Bank. He won Paul Heyman at WrestleMania. He won the World Heavyweight Championship. He was main eventing most Monday Night Raws with his Vision storyline. And then one of the younger guys who was on the card where Cena retired, Javon Evans, he's on the main roster, extremely over. Obviously, I mentioned Obafemi. He's on the main roster, extremely, extremely over. And he was also on the event wrestling against Cody Rhodes. So those are what I could come up with from my recollection of the good sphere of influence from Cena's retirement tour. We will get to the medium and the bad, but guys, I want to hear what you think maybe was the best of his influence, the best way that he's given back so far with the way everything's been booked, whether it's the Brock stuff, the R-Truth, the AJ stuff, whatever it is. So I'm going to take a step back now, and I'm going to throw it over to Dave. Dave, which of those good moments stand out to you? Did I miss anything? Again, keep in mind we have some medium good stuff and some bad stuff coming up, so I left some stuff off of that on purpose. But any of that stand out to you? Any of that really memorable for you?
Well, matches wise, as soon as he came back face was what stands out to me. Now, the one other thing that it brought, and you talked about it a lot last year at the end of his run, is the people in the audience for Raws that he was on, or SmackDowns, and the money at the gate. I think money was way up when they knew Cena was going to be there. I think that was one thing about when you knew he showed up with the dates. They knew they were going to cash in. They cashed in on more merchandise for him, especially when he turned heel. So I think they gained big there. Now, as far as a good story one of the good things that you mentioned, I think Obafemi is one of them. Soul, I'm surprised because I thought with that rub, I thought Soul would be up on the main roster right now. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But ever since then, we started to see Oba in the hype videos and seeing him here and there more. And now look where he's at. He's in WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. So in my opinion, I think that was the biggest rub out of them all. Gunther, I would have said would have been the biggest, but you'll mention it when you mention the lows, because if they would have capitalized or had the story on how to follow up after AJ, because the follow up after AJ we'll talk about, but if they would have followed up on Gunther, I would have said that would have been the biggest plus of all this. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's Oba and that last main event. I think that started to catapult him.
Absolutely. And I remember going into that event like, hey, are they really going to use Oba against Cody? Like, should Oba potentially be beating Cody? All of these types of things were running through my mind. And then, he kind of disappeared for a while, but he's back and he is on the track. And if he does get put over by Lesnar, that then takes away all of the vitriolic hate that I had for him getting squashed, or for him squashing Cena, at that WrestlePalooza event. So thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate that. We'll see if somebody else picks that or decides to go with something else. I'm going to throw it over to the Simple Man, my predictions post-mortem breakdown co-host, Noah Foster. Noah, you're one of the most intelligent wrestling fans that I know. You watch everything, so I really value what you're about to say here with what you thought was good coming out of Cena's sphere of influence and his retirement rub. Go ahead. Which of those moments stuck out to you, and did I miss anything? If anybody knows I missed something, it would be you.
Ironically enough, this is where I kind of bring a bit of a standout. And speaking of standouts, this John Cena proved was a standout since 2003, confronting Kurt Angle, who might be the most prolific all-around collegiate professional wrestling athlete on the planet. Someone that could show the graps, maybe just as good, if not better, is someone John Cena also endorsed for the future that broke out last year as the Iron Survivor, Kendall Gray. When he picked Kendall Gray for the Iron Survivor Challenge last year for NXT Deadline, and she shocked the world and won, you look at her work since she's been the Evolve Women's Champion, now vacating the title and graduating up to NXT and is going to be part of a number of contenders match now for the NXT Women's Championship. It's really impressive to see how much John Cena not only gives back, but shows so much forward, especially for the women of WWE. Also, of course, was a special guest on Bailey's Seminar of Confidence, All Women's Wrestling Showcase, Lodestone. It's amazing how much John Cena not only gave back to the men in the business, but also keeps an eye on the women of the industry. The fact that he picked Kendall Gray, who I knew nothing about, and could be a standout right now for years to come in NXT and in WWE, goes to show that John Cena is a selfish individual and still cares about the future and has a very keen eye on it. So for me, him picking out Kendall Gray and seeing Kendall Gray's work and how it has evolved and brought her forward to the NXT roster has been very impressive to see. So that's definitely one of those moments that stand out for me, where it wasn't about him being in the ring, but giving someone else the shine for what they could be in the ring. And it shows. To your point, so Ruka and Zara right now, they're feuding with each other in NXT. I don't know why she's not on the main roster yet. That's a whole different conversation. But for me, I look at John Cena and just the subtleness of how much he cares about the development and the evolution of the women in WWE. Lyra Valkyria after the match at SummerSlam, where she was so despondent. Thank you, WWE Unreal. Kendall Gray, NXT, Iron Survivor standout, endorsing names like Jordan Grace, Lola Vice, etc. Lola Vice, Triple A mixed tag team champion. Jordan Grace, now a member of the SmackDown roster. It's one of those things where, yes, he gave us the moments of nostalgia. He may not necessarily got involved with this generation in the ring, but at least he's telling you who to look out for next in the ring. I'm not going to do Control-C, Control-V and say Obafemi because no one else is going to say that, but I'm going to say, since I'm probably the one that still cares about the letters NXT, though I'm black and gold for life, never will be black and chrome, it's the shine that he gave on Kendall Gray and where Kendall Gray is going. So thank you, Cena, for that.
Well done, Noah. I knew you were going to bring something special to this conversation, and I made sure to put that down. So this is the thing, like whether Cena's directly talking about somebody or wrestling somebody who then wrestles somebody, that's that sphere of influence. And you mentioned Sol Ruca being a whole different conversation. It's not going to be that much of a different conversation because we will absolutely address that in one of the other sections, the non-good section of the Cena sphere of influence. Now, then like he never even had a match with Oba, and that sphere of influence then reaches out to there. And there are some other guys who he didn't have matches with that we'll talk about later on in this video. Yes, and maybe even a Penta. So stay tuned to see how I segue into that. So we're gonna throw it over now to C-Rod. C-Rod, thank you again for joining us. You've got your speaking of not enough good on the internet, you have a podcast about Are You Good, Bro? Or You Good, Bro? Excuse me. And we talk about the things that men really need to be talking about. So one of the things men love to talk about is professional wrestling. Damn it. And yes, I'm really happy we hit that. We'll have to get an LA night, and somewhere down the line. But I digress. So I'm interested to see what you think. Obviously, I mentioned Liv winning the Royal Rumble. I don't mean to take that away if that's what you were going to go with. But so far, we have the influence that Dave feels towards Oba is a standout for him. We have Noah throwing in something that I didn't even think about, which was the Kendall Gray Iron Survivor win that Cena was endorsing for her. And now we have you. What's standing out to you about the good from the moment it happened, or at least until where we are now, that it's a good thing that Cena has influenced?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I appreciate the shameless plug at Crod's Pod. It is the You Good podcast. It can be found on Spotify and YouTube. We talk mental health. And as you mentioned, being with the boys and talking about wrestling is good for our mental health. I love my girl Liv, right? But I don't think she was the biggest rub. And it's because I don't think she needs a rub. She has worked her ass off to get where she's at. And whether she's injured and off screen for a while and comes right back, she's always going to be in the thick of things. It's always wondering, what can she take over? When's the Rumble? She's going to be at WrestleMania. Great. For me, I tend to fully agree. Javon Evans was my number one. I love to see the push. I think he was on 2 or maybe 3 PLEs after that or leading up to that Saturday Night Main Event. He's been in a lot of matches. He's getting a lot of TV time. It's great to be bouncy. Gunther is my number one. The biggest rub on paper, but like we'll talk about, the biggest fumble, so far. And for me, it's Oba Femi. I absolutely love Oba. Since we went I went to NXT when they were in Tampa. I didn't really know too much about NXT. Oba was there. Everything was so hype about him. The thing for me, and I'll kind of give an opinion here that maybe it's a hot take, but I think Oba should lose to Brock at WrestleMania. I think Oba should lose to Brock and carry all of this momentum that we have, because if he beats Brock, then what else is there for him to conquer, right? Coming up to the main roster and just dominating one of the biggest stars of our era, of our time, there's not really much else for him. But if they could carry that out to maybe SummerSlam, where it's rumored that Brock might be retiring, I think that's a great angle to carry this out and see. And the sphere of influence from Cena doesn't really affect Stephanie Vaquer, but I think that she is also kind of in this picture of this big push, and I can't wait to see her and Liv. So Liv's there, right there, fight at WrestleMania. What they've been doing on Raw has been exhilarating to watch. But for me, SmackDown has really taken I guess the energy from post Cena, with CM Punk, with Randy Orton, I guess CM Punk is on Raw, but with Randy Orton, I think it's really his time to shine now. How much time he has left, we don't know. So I kind of agree with everybody. It's Gunther, it's Randy Orton. I can't wait to see Sol Ruca. We'll talk more about that. Javon Evans, and number one for me is Oba Femi.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. I would like to challenge that if Oba does beat Brock Lesnar, then that means that Gunther can retire Brock at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam while Brock is then a face. Like he could turn face. Maybe something happens with the other stuff, but he could acknowledge Oba, maybe raise his hand or do something like kind of have a face turn towards the end of that match and then get retired by Gunther at SummerSlam. And then Oba could win the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE title at SummerSlam. And that could be that next thing for him. Like, I don't want to get way too early predictions here, but if SummerSlam doesn't end with Trick Williams and Obafemi as world champion and WWE champion, I think it'll be a massive, massive letdown. Like I'm really big. I'm bigger on Trick Williams than I am on Oba at this point, but I also love me some ruler. So with that being said, we're going to throw it now over to Oofman. Oofman, you've heard what the boys have had to say. Did I miss anything? What's going on? What do you think? It doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest good that Cena's done with his sphere of influence and his retirement rub, but like what's something that really stands out to you amongst that?
Well, one of the things I agree with everybody's assessment on what everybody said on his influence, but one of the things that didn't really shock me, but I guess the company was bracing for is how much merchandise this guy can still sell, and especially on his. So we all know TKO loves them. They love it.
Gotta get the minis.
Exactly. It's all about it. Every city he showed up, even when he wasn't there, what did you see in the crowd? Kids, adults, people, everybody wearing the John Cena, the last time is now merch. There's this guy I follow on YouTube whose name I can't remember right now, but he collects wrestling belts. He has every replica, and he bought every single replica of the John Cena spinner belt and his goodbye on his farewell tour.
That's
and
insane.
It is. And if I could share it in our chat room, the link to his YouTube page, I'll do it. But he bought every one of them. And I sat there going like, wow, this is one guy doing this. But now imagine every city that they hit last year with the special colors of the city, Boston, Dallas, everything, the pay-per-views as well. They were here in SummerSlam in Jersey. SummerSlam had a special replica spinner belt with the John Cena, the final time is now. Every single city, every single town had one during his tour. Just think for 1 second. We allegedly heard that Cena wanted to do over 200 dates, but I don't even know if WWE does 200 dates anymore a year, but he wanted to add more to the schedule. Imagine if they added more dates. Imagine he was doing both Raw and SmackDown during his goodbye tour, more shirts, more replicas. So as far as an influence goes, what everybody said is absolutely correct. And I agree with everybody. But one thing is the company saw that he can still draw what TKO loves to see is the green, and every city, every town that they hit, that's all you saw. I have a good friend of mine. Shout out to my boy Joe. He's a big John Cena fan, maybe like a hair behind you, Gino. What did he do? He didn't go to SummerSlam, but he got a friend of him to get a shirt and some more merch of him because he loves John Cena, and he had it all. He had the look going, the SummerSlam look. So everywhere they went last year, Cena drew, not like Dave said, he drew the attendance, but he also drew the merch money. And like I said, that's how you, back in the previous administration, that's how you got pushed, where if merchandise was number one, guess what? You got a little bump. Now in the TKO era, that's what they want to see. They want to see profit, and that's what Cena brought one entire year. But again, props to him to keep doing it. Yes, it was the final time, but he still could do it. People would have been like, well, he's going to leave. All right, let's get the show over with. But no, wherever he went, he still had the shirts. And they were in Europe when the turn happened. Fans still, you saw, what did you see in the crowd? You still saw the shirts. When they came to America, same exact thing. So props to Cena. So just imagine it was about 20 years ago when he just got started and they were pushing him with the merch. And I remember when WWE started their relationship with Susan G. Komen for the cancer research, who was the first superstar that you had to buy the merch in order for a profit of it to go to Susan G. Komen? It was Cena. It was Cena with the pink shirt, the black and pink. It was just him, but this merch sold. And as time went on, someone said it in a podcast, he had every color of the crayon box, a shirt made for him. it sold. And last year was like that, literally the last time is now. And I'm sure some of his merch is still selling, but I think that was the one big influence on the company, that even in 2025, in his goodbye tour, Cena still literally brought the green to the bank of TKO.
They probably still sold the towels too. The towels that he
Yeah.
brought in everything too.
Everything.
Towels, which, yeah, literally, they probably bought more towels than more shirts, because towels are probably easier to literally pile up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So again,
Yeah.
props to him for still keeping the merch numbers high.
And they actually, the belts that he did not sell, they had him sign them, and then they upcharged it more, because I was actually watching the Tampa belt for months, trying to hope that it dropped down to like 200 or 300. And what they did is they said that was sold out. They had him sign the rest, and then they bumped it up to like 800, 1,000 or something.
Oh, gosh.
And don't forget to say Fruity Pebbles when you talk about John Cena and all his colors.
Yeah, right.
Uh-oh. He's getting angry.
It's okay. It's funny, but it more upsets me because it was used for the build into WrestleMania 28, where Cena absolutely should have gone over the Rock. And I was there, and I was the only person who left that arena unhappy. So, obviously, whatever. What do I know? But then they redid it the next year, so obviously, I know that they know that they made a mistake. But I digress. So you mentioned the merch stuff, and that's actually something that I'm going to get at when we talk about the bad. So stay tuned to see how I get there. Guys, we are off and rolling. So that brings us to the end of the good sphere of influence. Now I've got a medium category, an okay. So maybe that could have been the great, however you want to look at it. This is the amber. If that was the green, this would be the amber, and then the Fruity Pebble red will be the bad. So we've got a few things that are a medium sphere of influence that I think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think it should be going in the good. Maybe you think it should be going in the bad. So we will see what you guys think. So I have here Penta is now, and here we go. I told you I was going to get to Penta. Penta is now the Intercontinental Champion, who he won it from Dom, and Dom was the person who beat Cena then to get the championship back, right? So that is how that sphere of influence works. The medium I have, and this was very close to making bad. So if I had like a medium to bad, like if I had a 5-point Likert scale instead of a 3-point Likert scale, it would be probably closer to a 2 than a 3. But Jey Uso is now a tag team champion. It's not on the good for me because he was once world heavyweight champion and a singles star, and now he's in the tag team division. If he wasn't a tag team champion currently, it would be in the red. It would be in the bad. So that's my thought process on that. Now, this man, I have been a fan of since day one. People hated him. They called him an outsider. This man lives the freaking gimmick in real life. Logan Paul. Logan Paul had 3 eliminations in the Elimination Chamber after having wrestled against Cena and wrestled with Cena during his retirement tour. So I think that they could be doing more with him, which is why it's not in the good. Like, he's obviously taking it upon himself to talk smack on Brady, and Brady's obviously my guy. So is Gronk, but I am Team Logan when it came to the smack talking and back and forth, because it seemed like Brady and Gronk were kind of going a little bit hard against him for the Flag Football Classic, which I know you guys, whether you watch it or whether you don't watch it, they mentioned it on Monday Night Raw. So it's appropriate to mention here as well. Now, R-Truth, he is back in the company. Great. He was Ron Killings for like 5 minutes to sell t-shirts, all that stuff. Probably learned that style from Cena, but now he is also a tag team champion. He's not a single star. He's not doing the single stuff that people maybe wanted him to see, but he's a tag team champion. So that's a medium sphere of influence. Again, I had him in the good and the green for actually still being with the company. And then the medium sphere of influence, because of what his did with Cody and all of the stuff about Cody becoming stale and things like that, Drew McIntyre was finally able to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And that is a medium good because it's not maybe so much connected to Cena, and he's not the champion currently. And I think if you saw my other video, I believe it was episode 25, where I was talking about Drew should have held that championship into WrestleMania, and he should have been dropping the strap to LA Knight. But instead, we've got stale Cody, even though he just regained the title, against not really bad guy, but just kind of being himself, Randy Orton. But I digress. And then we have AJ Styles being retired by Gunther. It's in that medium because of kind of how they went about it. Nobody really expected that to happen. Whatever. Maybe I could put it in the good, but I just didn't have it within me to be like, it was good that Gunther retired AJ Styles so early into 2026, even though I know the poetry of being the anniversary of his debut. Now, so that's kind of what I have for the amber, the medium, the orange, however you want to look at it, type of retirement rubs. So I want to see, I'm sure I missed some things. I mean, it's all kind of subjective once we get into this medium gray area. So I'm going to throw it over to C-Rod to start. C-Rod, you heard what I had to say. Did I maybe miss something that's maybe not good, but also not kind of bad, either with the booking or with these, with his retirement rubs that he's been giving? What stands out to you?
Yeah, I don't think you missed anything here, Gino, but what I think we're seeing, right, and I know that we've talked about this before, is they're starting to put these people in tag teams because not everybody can be a single star. They have a great problem. They have too many stars, and they've also cut time, right? There's less matches, there's less hours in the show, and if everybody is a single star, nobody's going to be able to shine. So they have to put them in the tag team division. And think about when Jey Uso was the champion and he was main event and he wasn't winning main events. And then when he was champion, we didn't really love it. So now to sit here and be like, oh, he's back in his comfort zone, as tag team. Why is that not good enough all of a sudden? I like him back with his brother. I like that they're kind of bringing the bloodline a little bit back together. Jay went out on his own. He did his thing. It's time to go back into where he can still be on TV, just maybe not as a main eventer. And that's truly, to me, has to do with the amount of time that they have. Not everybody can be in the main event. I would love for the title to change hands more. I'm tired of Cody seeing it, to your point of Cody getting it back again. I really enjoyed Drew McIntyre's short run, whether he had to drop the title because he's going to shoot this movie. That's neither here or there. I would have rather seen him at WrestleMania, whether it's against Randy, whether it's against LA Knight. I don't care. Give me Drew McIntyre with his belt in WrestleMania. If he loses it there, fine. Randy takes it. Somebody else takes it. But get it back off of Cody again. And I really hope that Randy beats Cody at WrestleMania, because just like the Cena heel turn, right? We said, oh, we don't love the Cena heel turn. Nobody's going to boo him. Fine. We're not booing Randy Orton, but I love what he is doing on TV again. Whether he's a face or a heel, everybody's going to love him. And what I love about Randy is when the voices in his head are talking and he's being impulsive. And now we're seeing blood. I mean, we're getting shades of Attitude Era again. I know that they changed writing staff. They made some changes on their writing team. We're starting to see blood again. We're starting to see LA Knight drive out in an ambulance. Just these little things here and there that are fantastic that we haven't had in a long time. So for me, keep it up, Randy. Keep being that heel. Keep letting the voices get to you. Beat everybody up. Do it as long as you want. Do it until you retire. I would much rather see heel Orton than face Orton, and that's just a preference. But for Logan Paul, I can't say enough good about him. A lot of people dislike him. They think that he just kind of walked his way into wrestling, but he does everything to get better, even to the point where, he was like, Triple H told me to grow my hair out. Okay, great. I did that. Now I want to work on selling more, selling better. People in this industry, wrestlers in this industry, don't sell enough, and they don't take, that time to learn how to sell. I want to do better at that. Great. That's amazing. Unfortunately, I think he got lost in the shuffle. He got lost in the shuffle with his whole vision thing. You can't really talk about injuries or predict injuries, but they were all in on Braun Breaker. All in. He got injured, gone. Bronson Reed, gone. Seth Rollins, gone, right? Everything just kind of fell apart with this whole vision thing, and now it's floating around. It feels kind of like the Judgment Day, right? Where are we at with the Judgment Day? Who is doing what? And every night it's like, okay, are they pushing Logan, or are they not pushing him? I would kind of like to see the vision fully disband at some point. Hopefully that happens with Seth back, and this whole he's going to destroy the vision, and Logan gets his singles run. Can he be in the main picture? I'd like to see it, but again, there's so many older, top-heavy superstars that are there that need to get their run, especially if we're talking about Brock being gone, Roman, still being present. At some point, they have to put their big stars who they're paying millions of dollars to have that belt. I don't know if we'll talk about this medium or bad, but for me, Gunther he shouldn't be feuding with Rey Mysterio right now. Whether that's something in the future or not. I know that Rey wants to be retired by his son. He's already said that. I think they misaligned by putting Gunther right into a feud with Rey as kind of the next step from Cena. So that's kind of my take on everything that you just kind of mentioned.
Sure. Thank you so much. And actually, I definitely will be bringing up Gunther when it comes to the bad. For sure, I hear where you're coming from with his son should be the one to retire him. Unfortunately, WWE booked themselves into a corner by having him called the career killer. So anybody that tells them that they want to retire, guess what? You're getting fed to the dog. But he's hurt. So I'm getting ahead of myself because Mean Gino wants to just jump through screen into wherever you're watching from right now, ladies and gentlemen. So we will get to that. No, that's fine. I appreciate that. Now, from what I remember, though, I believe Cody did have the championship and was just gone from television to film and then dropped the title after he finished filming the Street Fighter movie, if I recall correctly. But either way, like allowing Drew to have the championship, if he didn't win it that last time in that 3 Stages of Hell match, bro, like we would have had like letter writing campaigns. I know that's something that old people used to do, kids, but that's what we used to do to voice our opinions back in the day. Now, thank you so much for that. So I'm going to throw it over to Noah now, the simple man. I'm looking forward to hearing whether or not you kind of agree with the stuff that is considered medium sphere of influence. Did I miss something? Probably did. And then keep in mind, we'll get to the bad in a little bit. So kind of what stands out to you for that like medium sphere of influence?
It surprised me they didn't like do anything with Sheamus and John Cena, considering their history. I wouldn't mind seeing the fella and him go at it one-on-one, but
they did have that tag match though.
Yeah, but that was a one thing, 6-person. It was a Judgment Day stint. It was a subplot to Dom and Survivor Series. It was Madison Square Garden, so I guess they had the moment. It probably was their first time together, so there's that. But honestly, for me, it was definitely AJ Styles. I get it. Royal Rumble debut 2016. He was halfway across the world in a half-filled arena, 25,000 with 50,000 lights. And at the end of the day, it didn't feel like it had the same impact. It felt like to me they rushed the Goofer angle on his new career identity being the career killer. I really thought they were going to push that out forward towards WrestleMania, because right now it doesn't look like the Ring General has a WrestleMania program because someone can't keep their knees together for 15-day surgeries. But anyway, I think AJ Styles is definitely the mid, as I'm in the Midwest. I knew mid before MJF knew mid was a word, just saying. But it's definitely AJ Styles is one of those stand out for me. I call Jey Uso midlife crisis yeet because he literally went back into the comfort zone. He shattered the ceiling and then he repaired it. You're a tag team specialist again. So there goes your main event. Now you're just an event. Whoop-de-doo. I don't know necessarily if him going back to the bloodline is actually, reinvention, or is it just the reoccurrence? But it does seem like, to your point, that's kind of what they're going with that. You can say what you want about the human being Logan Paul, but he has every tool on the market for WWE to make him into a top-tier superstar before he got turned into a vision that turned into a vapor. So between AJ, Logan Paul, and I think Jey Uso, those are 3 examples that definitely became mid out of the sphere of influence for me. But at least one of them has a championship. And don't get me started on LA Knight. I've been waiting for him to be pushed to the moon and forward on that gravy train since I don't know how long. I honestly wonder if it's ever going to happen. But those are my big 3.
Sure. And it does seem like LA Knight is kind of regaining his steam after being off TV. But then I see right before going on here that when he was making his entrance on Raw, he fell over the barricade. He slipped and fell over the barricade. So if this man can't keep his feet underneath him, I really don't see them trusting him long term. Again, I would have loved for him to beat Drew for the World Heavyweight Championship or for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I think that I mean, I know that Cody and Randy doesn't need the championship, especially if one of them was going to be heel. Like, they obviously see that Dom and Finn don't need a championship. Like, when you have history and stuff, like, that's enough. Let another match have improved cachet through having the title in that match. So you could say the same thing about Punk and Roman, but, obviously they want to have that big thing. Okay, that's fine. And guys, go back to episode 25 of Major Push Wrestling if you want to hear me break that down even further. Thank you so much, Noah. Always here with the simple man with the simple plan. We appreciate you very much. Now I'm going to throw it over to Dave. Dave, you've heard what Noah's had to say. You've heard what C-Rod has to say. You will eventually hear what Oofman has to say. What do you think? Did anything stand out to you about the it's been okay, but they could maybe do more with what they've done with the rubs that he's been able to give people?
Well, C-Rod and Noah had great points. Logan Paul especially. As you remember, in the beginning, after Cena turned heel, he teamed with Logan Paul, and then he got to face him down the road. He was giving him a good rub, but as both Noah said and C-Rod said, he is one of the people that have come as an entertainer, basically, and taken to this like a duck to water. And he wants to learn, and he wants to work. He does not need the vision. He doesn't need Paul Heyman speaking for him. He can talk. He can be on his own. The vision, I think, has pretty much, I think, sapped him a little bit. And the only reason he got 3 eliminations in that match is because those were the spot for Bronson Reed before he got hurt.
You're right.
They just went with what Bronson was going through that. But Logan there could have been more with him instead of the vision, as Noah and C-Rod said. Now, you brought up a good point too with Logan too. And now regarding the other mid, I would definitely say AJ Styles is in the mid because there was no buildup whatsoever. And they could have had some great promos, some great storytelling. But at that point, we were running out of appearances by John. It was a great match, but there could have been a story. Just like him with the buildup to Gunther, there was no buildup and no promos because we only had a couple of appearances left by John. That's where we were strapped. And that's why when Oofman said, if he wanted to do more, I wish he would have done more. It wasn't enough. If they would have gone to 50, and it didn't have to all be wrestling, they should have at least given him a little more freedom to be there more. And as far as Cody, I feel like Cody's in the spot where Cena was when everybody wanted, and we've talked about this, where everybody wanted Cena to go heel. You're getting the boos for him. He's the only one being booed out of the 4 main eventers for WrestleMania. Everybody else is still getting cheered. Doesn't matter if Orton was getting cheered, just like C-Rod said, no matter what. But they were telling him more and more after he had bloodied Cody already. I think and Cody doesn't need the rub. I think that, I don't know, the match in WrestleMania was so bad with him as a heel. SummerSlam did make up for it, but I just don't think, I think that was mid. It got Cody some more exposure as winning another title again, but I think it fell short. And when we talk about the bad, I have a couple. Obviously, you're going to hear Gunther out of my mouth about that, but those are my mids.
Thank you so much. And this is why I love not doing this alone, because I'm able to get opinions from you guys and get challenged. So you're saying that the match between John Cena and AJ Styles. Not AJ Styles and Gunther was kind of in the middle for you because of the buildup. And that is certainly an opinion that I do not share, but I hear where you're coming from because it was just kind of thrown together on a Tuesday on social media. You guys got what you wanted. You're getting the match. And like, so
and I think it led to a rush. I think it led to a rush in him being retired by Gunther. I know why he did it. I don't think AJ should have retired it that quick. I think it should have been WrestleMania. It should have been. And I think they brought up 10 years because that's where he started for. I don't know if they really believe that. I think that was just used as an excuse in my opinion. That was talking about like the way Noah said that they put things together too quick. That was made way too quick. They rushed that too much. I want more of AJ. As much of a Cena fan, I'm a major AJ fan. I go back to TNA in the beginning. And
man.
Yes,
Mr.
definitely.
TNA versus Mr. WWE. That was the reason why that was my WWE match of the year last year for the men.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this guy had matches like that all his career. All of it. You very, very saw a slip up with him. And here's my rant, Gino. This is my rant.
You're rolling up the sleeves right now. Okay.
You triggered Dave.
But
yeah.
Yeah, you trigger me definitely. But again, AJ should have been around longer. They really pooped their pants with that story, and hopefully, and I don't know if that's why they're getting him in the Hall of Fame as quick as they are or not to make up for it. Have no clue. I know they didn't want him to go to. I know they didn't want him to go AEW. That's for sure. They wanted to make sure he didn't touch that way, because they want him WWE for life. But I digress now. I think I've gone on too much.
You got too much of a tangent almost.
Hey man, as the ranter himself, I totally get that, and I appreciate you clarifying that for me because yes, I do agree. It seems like again that the plan was for Gunther to then retire AJ or to retire Ray at WrestleMania. So they were probably like, well, we got to get this AJ thing out of the way. Oh, we'll put a bow on it. We got a show in Atlanta. We'll do AJ Styles Appreciation Night, whatever. So I really respect and appreciate that opinion. And now we're going to throw it over to Oofman to finish up the thoughts on what is the middle, the mid, the amber, the gray, the medium, however you want to look at it. Now, he should know a lot about mid because he's wearing Mets gear. Sorry. And so we will see what his expert analysis is going to be on that. As a Red Sox fan, sometimes I have reason to talk. Otherwise, I have reasons to shut my mouth. So does anything stand out to you, Oofman, about what's going on there? And before we go to that, I just wanted to touch on, you mentioned that that Cody is a heel is getting booed, and you mentioned that they chant one more time, and they're even doing that from Roman to Punk. Like, I freaking really hate that these chants for one more time. Like, I get it, you're there live and you want to see as much possible happen live and all that stuff. Like, I get that, but it comes across as like we don't like this guy, and we know that Boston was a big CM Punk crowd. So I don't know, but so I'm throwing over to Oofman now. Oofman, anything stand out from Penta to Jay to Logan to R-Truth, the tag titles, the Drew not being the champion anymore, AJ being retired, and potentially the build to AJ and Cena's match? Take it away.
So what stands out is World Series 1986. Moving on. Sorry. So anywho, I'm going to jump on what Dave and Noah said. Pretty much what everyone said. What it was kind of mid-ish was his schedule, and you guys, everybody nailed the nail in the head right there. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier, what I said in the positives with the merch. Just imagine if we had Cena at a full-time schedule, jumping between Raw and SmackDown. Somebody mentioned they could have gotten a match with Sheamus. Yeah, that could have been on a special Raw or a SmackDown, or wherever. I don't even remember what roster Sheamus is on, to tell you the truth. But the match could have happened there. Imagine they still could have brought people from his past. I don't know how far they would go. Would they bring in Maybe a one-time appearance, Kurt Angle just showing up just to talk to Cena. Not a match, please, because no, Angle talking about done. Angle is officially done. I was left curious. As they were signing people, like the hype for the AJ match. Imagine if Cena and AJ in the ring, hyping the match up, like Dave said. Imagine if these matches had stories in them. That was the one thing where, yes, we did get the Cena AJ match, cool, but like someone said, it happened on social media. I didn't even see it until I think I read it on No DQ, like Cena challenges or somebody challenged the other. I'm like, wait, when did this happen? And it happened during with tweets or something like that. It's like, oh, that's how you're going to promote the match. And then after they announced the Cena AJ match, it's just AJ talking, and it's like, where the heck is Cena? So, but we got the match. Yay, nostalgic, going back to their feud years ago. Cool. Then I started thinking, like, what if they book Kevin Federline? He still has a win over John Cena. Cena retired, and Kevin Federline is 1-0. So, yeah, we'd have to see Federline again. But my thing is, the mid thing of having Cena is his schedule. Just imagine even if he just did Raws, if he was there every single week to go on the mic with everyone. And imagine especially with Gunther. If we announced that he won the tournament, we can talk. Probably the tournament's probably we'll save that for later. But he wins the tournament, and then it's Cena and Gunther on the mic going at it face to face, and just the things they would say, the things Cena would say, the things Gunther would say. We were left hanging. He did show up here and there, but the schedule was a big problem. Where again, we did get some of the matches with Cena that fans were looking forward to. I know a bunch of fans were looking forward to Cena and Punk one more time. We got it, great. But with the other matches that he had with other people, and especially the AJ one, it would have been better on Raw or on the shows, whatever. Have them in the ring together, reminiscing, being like old chums, like, oh yeah, we feuded back in the day. Oh, remember our match at this PLE? And then we have the match, and it would have been a new, different side of Cena, where it's like he would be probably, I would guessing by a face at that point, but at least we would have had him there. And think of how the heel turn began. It happened at the Elimination Chamber. Everybody's jaws dropped, but he didn't show up for 2 weeks. And we're heading to WrestleMania, where the granddaddy of them all, the big one, and we didn't have Cena there. And maybe that's what we could talk about later. The match, I think, really misfired because of that, because we needed to see Cody and him on the mic. We got it. We sometimes didn't. It's just Cody talking. Unfortunately, that's what happens with the promotion of a match. When the two competitors aren't there, the match may be affected by that, because the crowd may not be hot for it. They'll be excited for it, but will they be sitting on the edge of their seats excited for it? Will they be ready for the match? But if Cena was there every week, every show, literally doing I think a real goodbye tour, saying goodbye at every single city. Again, think back to what I said earlier. The merch would have probably exploded even more. I know they were selling shirts when he wasn't even there, so who knows if that affected the ultimate bottom line of the dollar for the merchandise. But when he did show up, like I mentioned earlier, he sold it out. The shirts were selling like hotcakes. But most importantly, it went to the mid of the hype for these matches, where if he's not there, it's tough to sell a match. I don't know with everybody else, but with me, you can't hype a match and the two guys not be there. Let's think back. I always like to reminisce of the Attitude Era, because they just got it right during that time. And earlier I mentioned I'm a Bret Hart mark. Think of Bret versus Austin heading to both Survivor Series and especially WrestleMania. Imagine if one of them wasn't there. It's like, yeah, Austin was calling out Bret, and then Bret finally showed up, but then they went at it. Imagine if Bret didn't show up till Survivor Series. The match would have still been good, but my hype for it wouldn't have been as excited as I was, is all it would be every single week on Raw, because we only had Raw back then. Austin calling out Bret, Austin dissing Bret. It's like, okay, will Bret answer Austin? And then you hear the commentators like, well, Bret will show up at Survivor Series. It's like, oh, I have to wait till then to hear Bret's answer? It would have been lame. And then think of the WrestleMania match. Imagine it was the reverse. Now Bret is calling out Austin that he's going to beat him, turn his life into a pretzel when he puts a sharpshooter on. And Austin, we don't get the awesome rivalry of Bret and Austin heading to WrestleMania. So when one person is missing in the equation, it affects it a lot for their sake, WWE's lucky that the fans did want these matches against these old opponents with Cena, and lucky for him, we got them. But how you get there is more importantly. Yes, we know the destination. All right, Cena, AJ, Cena, Punk, Cena, Gunther. Cool, that's fine. Knowing the destination is all right, but it's the journey there. How is the journey getting you hyped? We can probably gab about it about this year's WrestleMania with the title contenders or any of the matches of it's the journey. Like, all right, we get it. It's CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. Cool. But how is the journey looking? We got Cody and Roman, Cody and Orton. Great. That's happened in Mania. What about the journey? So it's in my opinion, in my feelings, when it comes to wrestling, it's always the journey getting to the match. You can announce the match. Even Rock and Cena, they hyped it up for 1 year, the twice in a lifetime. They hyped it up for 1 year. But they would, again, show up here and there. But it's all about the journey. So I think it was mostly Cena's schedule where, yay, we got the matches. But imagine if he was there 100% every single week. And just imagine the promo battles he could have had with everybody.
Thank you so much for that, Oofman. Especially there at the end, you're talking about his schedule. It's been mentioned ad nauseum, whether you want to believe the dirt sheets or whether you don't. 200 plus dates he would have been comfortable with. We know Cena's a workhorse, so if they had those many dates, he would have done it. But to know that he offered that and was declined, and then we had that kind of lackluster build to WrestleMania where he's there 1 week, he's not saying anything 1 week, and then he's just, oh, but my dates are taken down. Yeah, I'll roll up my sleeves on that one.
Gino, the one thing, and both Oofman and I both brought up it. Gunther was his last match ever. We needed that. We needed that promo with them in the ring. We needed it. Because Gunther had great promos with everybody. That would have been gold. That would have been gold. That was his last match ever. Add a couple dates at the end. Why couldn't they add a couple of dates? I don't know who to blame that one on either.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to blame TKO.
Always TKO.
Some people like to blame Triple H. Some people like to blame Nick Khan. Some people like to blame, the talent, which I'm not really a big fan of doing that. Yeah. But yeah, so I that kind of gives us a good segue though, because the number one thing that was bad for me, other than what we will talk about, is the fact that he offered that many dates and had made 17, more than 17 other shirts for every city he was going to go to and everything like that. And I did hear a rumor that he was going to release those shirts and they'll be the never seen 17 shirts because they never officially hit the market and he didn't wear them. So they were never seen, whatever, however you want to look at it. So that'll bring us to the bad. And the bad again is starting off with the lack of dates in it. I mean, he gave us a lot and he talked on CVV about, okay, I don't like to play what ifs and woulda, coulda, shoulda, like what actually happened, what was given, and do we appreciate that? And 100% of the time, I still see that kid in Brussels' face when Cena called him a mark or whatever it was. So that we did, he did try to make the most of it, but there were times where he's coming out, not saying anything, getting interrupted, and then only one person talks and then they leave. It's okay. I get it, because that's kind of how they're building to WrestleMania even this year, or maybe they're learning a little bit. But if we could have had more Cena and more matches, there are still people that he could have wrestled against, like The Miz, Joe Hendry. I don't want to hear names that are under contract for another company, guys, unless it's TNA. But there was still a lot left on the table. But at the end of the day, he gave us, what was it? I think 18 matches, and he didn't wrestle more than 4 matches the 5 years leading up to that. So, and probably the best thing is he didn't end up getting hurt, because that could have been a big catastrophe for them if he did. And so I thank you for that, Cena. Now, as far as the other stuff, besides the dates and the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and what actually happened with his sphere of influence, Sol Ruca, somebody who probably got the biggest rub from his final match, the card, was Sol Ruca. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't I should have probably looked this up, but I don't think she's a champion right now in NXT. And if she is, she's not. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. No, I knew you were going to be there as soon as I said it. Yeah. So she's not still a champion, and she's still not on the main roster. Isn't fighting for the NXT championship. But okay, like I'm a big Lola Vice fan, and they've been like not wanting to give her the championship either. So I'm just like, don't know what's going on with the black and chrome NXT and the way they're doing things down there. But I will say this, they certainly have been a arguably better pipeline to the main roster. All things considered, we got Trick, Javon, Oba, we got all these, and the girls in the NXT there's 5 good girls for every one guy, according to Triple H on WWE Unreal Season 1. So we have that. And then Gunther, he retires Cena. And then he comes back. He's laughing. Okay, whatever. And then he's having 10+ minute matches with Dragon Lee. And then he's MIA for the past few weeks because his opponent, his rumored opponent, but I'm sure we're going to find out on WWE Unreal Season 3 or 4 what was going on behind the scenes. But I'd venture to guess it's because Ray got hurt. They didn't have anything for Gunther, which is belligerently unacceptable. Like they feel like they themselves feel like they've booked themselves into a corner with his career killer gimmick. And it's like, now they can't give him anybody else, that he's not going to retire them. Oh, wait, but then they give him Dragon Lee and trying to make Dragon Lee look good. Like, nobody cares about Dragon Lee. Sorry, Dragon Lee. Like, iShowSpeed doesn't even care about you. Like, that's how low on the totem pole you are. Sorry, maybe they'll change that, but I don't think that is worth Gunther's time. I didn't think it was worth his time to be going 10+ minutes with Nathan Frazier and Axiom and all these guys. Like, come on. Like, I know Aaron on the No DQ review of NoDQ.com likes to talk about that's kind of how AEW does it with their big stars and their mid-carders. They try to showcase the lower carder guys in those matches, but like having them go multiple, false finishes and multiple television break commercials segments is kind of wild. Now, this thing, there's not a lot of people are talking about this one. Everybody's talking about Gunther, potentially Soroka, whatever. But for me, maybe the most egregious, bad, red, low key tier, whatever you want to call it, thing with Cena's sphere of influence was Survivor Series against Dominic Mysterio. Liv and Raquel came out to help Dominic Mysterio. Liv did the hug, and I'm sure C-Rod wished he was Cena at that moment, but I digress. Raquel comes and Tahana bombs.
Well, I'm on that boat as well, C-Rod. I'm on that boat as well. I did get to hug her.
I feel like we all
get off my girl.
Yeah, I feel like might want that.
Lucky Oofman.
And but Raquel Rodriguez, Tahana bombed John Cena, lifted him up, dropped him, and which led to essentially the finish of the match. And I know, and I don't want to upset C-Rod. We'll get to it in a second. But Stephanie Vaquer should not have the championship right now. It should be Raquel Rodriguez. She should have beat her in that street fight especially when she's got 2, potentially 5 people who can come out and help her retain through legitimately legal ways because it's a street fight. And Stephanie Vaquer and the storyline with Liv, and I will get to that in a second, kind of a bunch of bull crap. I get Stephanie's good looking. I get she's decently good wrestler, whatever. She kind of just has 3 moves of doom, though. So tell me I'm wrong. If you've seen one Stephanie Vaquer match other than the street fight, you've seen them all. And so I think that it's a no-brainer. Liv's going to beat her for the championship at Mania. But Raquel Rodriguez, it should be Raquel versus Liv for the title. That is where the tea is, as the kids say. That's where the drama is. That's where the storytelling is. Stephanie saying that Liv didn't work for anything when Liv had been in WWE for 10 years and hadn't been given the credit that she deserved, and she busted her keister and she did all these things to be essentially the top girl other than Rhea. Like, come
Riot
on.
Squad. Riot Squad.
For real. For real. I completely forgot about the Riot Squad. And you're absolutely right. Like, nobody wanted anything to do with Liv. She was an Alexa knockoff, all this stuff. Shout out to my girl Alexa. But I could talk all day. I could make a whole video about why Raquel's getting done way too dirty. Again, she Tahana bombed Cena, but she's losing when she has an advantage in a street fight to somebody who has 3 moves. So anyway, and then we have Dom. He beat Cena at that event for the IC title and then lost it to Penta and now is in the Judgment Day breakup angle. I think that I had Penta as the IC champion in the mid, and I have Dom not being the champion going into WrestleMania as the bad, but I am okay with it being for the story with him and Finn. Hopefully they break up, but the reason why Dom is in the bad for me is because the fans have been wanting to cheer him, and WWE's like, no, you don't know what you want. And that's when it's becoming increasingly frustrating because, yes, he's Dirty Dom, but there was nobody dirtier other than Ric Flair in the game than Eddie Guerrero, and he was beloved and still is beloved. And Dom should be in that I'm a good guy who does nefariously smart things, because we hear Aaron Riff talk about dumb or stupid babyface decisions. Like, Dom could be that smart babyface for once. And then Liv, I talked about a little bit. She's not even the focal point, like, of her own Royal Rumble win, her own story, her own championship aspirations going into WrestleMania. So that's, I think, is part of the bad. I also have listed here, Jay is no longer a single star. Yes, he like was mentioned, I believe, by C-Rod, that he's kind of going back into his comfort zone as a tag wrestler, whatever. But this man he eliminated John Cena from the Royal Rumble, which then ultimately led to a Cena heel turn, which everybody but me won't defend Cena being a heel for that time and what he did in the heel. I will defend it because I love Cena and I don't want to have this what ifs and stuff, but I can objectively say that it was a little lackluster. Maybe more. I'm definitely biased, but Jay's no longer a single star, and that you could argue that it was wasted him eliminating Cena. Logan Paul, not in the title picture. No clear direction for WrestleMania other than something to do with Tom Brady and potentially Rob Gronkowski, which has nothing to do with Cena other than the fact that they played in New England and Cena's from New England. Logan Paul is making that on his own. He is doing that stuff on his own, whether he's got permission or not. Maybe he does, whatever, but he's calling Tom Brady a B. He's calling Gronk, I've beat up all your brothers. I could beat you up. Like, I'm an athlete. Brady's saying, no, you're not, all this stuff. And then Logan Paul is going on social media and he's apologizing for ruining professional football players' careers for how he performed against them in the flag football. Logan Paul is great, and they are not doing enough with him, especially since we've got him every week. We used to have him like once a quarter. Now we get him every week, and they're not doing enough with him. Give him a microphone the day after he does something epic on a worldwide stage. Like, what are we doing? And then Cody, he lost the Elimination Chamber, and he lost the Royal Rumble, and he had to back his way into a world title rematch again with Drew McIntyre, which was illegal, by the way, because there was in the contract whether or not somebody's word was changed. No, the contract is a contract, and Drew's lawyers are crappy because they didn't get him out of that match. But I understand that this was the plan all along, whatever. And last but certainly not least, or maybe least, depending on how you look at the bad category, you mentioned it, Oof, and I appreciate that because I didn't have it written down until right when you started talking. WWE was not prepared for the hard work that they were going to have to do after Cena retired to sell tickets and to sell merchandise. They acted like 2025 was such a great financial success and all these things, and they were relying on Cena being on the show was the selling point. It didn't matter what else you did on the rest of the card. Cena being at a Raw, a SmackDown, a Premium Live event, or a Saturday Night's Main Event was the reason people were buying tickets. It didn't matter. You could have had freaking okay, I'm not going to bring that name up, but you could have had people who nobody want to see in the world there, and they still would have gone just for John Cena. And now they're coming out of that realizing, oh, it's kind of hard to sell tickets, kind of hard to sell merchandise a little bit. Maybe we'll have CM Punk start putting the other town's names on his shirts so he can sell those locally. Maybe we should start doing what Cena did. like, because we didn't have the foresight to do that. All we did was hamper and temper his ability to wrestle and be on more than 36 dates. Anyway, so I need to hear what you guys have to say, because I'm actually starting to get physiologically upset. So yes, that's Mean Gino coming out. If I had sleeves that were rollable, they would be straight up ripped off. So I'm going to throw it over to Oofman now. He's been so patient during the first two segments. I'm going to start with you, the Oofman. What stands out to you about the bad? I really, really, really hope I didn't miss any. So we'll wait till Noah potentially to see if I missed any of the bad. But I really hope I didn't miss anything bad. What do you think? What stands out to you as what they're doing poorly with the rub that Cena gave these people on this retirement tour?
Well, one of the things that was very disappointing was the interview. I forgot where Cena was with. Maybe it was CVV or someone, where he spoke about the heel turn, and where Cena just rolled with the punches, where they said, all right, we're going to turn you heel. And Cena was just like, okay. And they clearly they didn't have a plan, because again, even though the heel turn was fantastic at the Chamber, the follow-up, again, it goes, we sound like broken records, but his schedule, maybe he should have pushed like, maybe I can clear my schedule a little bit. In that first Raw after the Chamber, Cena should have been there, standing in the middle of the ring, the boos, and regardless of what you thought of the explanation, which I thought was lame, just the fact that him being there. But in the interview, he revealed that he just agreed to what the company said, like, all right, we're going to turn you heel. And he just went, okay. He should have I feel like he should have pushed a little bit. Hey, he should have done a major push to creative, like, look, or use common sense. Like, all right, if Rock is coming out there to get Cody's soul and I turn heel, why can't we have, again, it didn't have to be all about The Rock, but at least The Rock stand with him while he gave his explanation. Even if you could even said, like, I did sell my soul to The Rock, and then Rock disappears, great. But they literally just, again, this is where I have very, very microscopic sympathy for Triple H and everybody in creative. They were dealt a rough hand, but I feel Cena should have pushed back more on, all right, we're going to turn me heel. That's fine. All right. Now, I think let's see if I can get my schedule cleared a little bit better, because we can't leave the audience hanging for 2 weeks and then I come explain. And then the run that he had, again, he wasn't there. Imagine if he was there, harping on, well, again, regardless of the reason of why he turned heel. But when he revealed that in that interview, I was bummed. I'm like, oh, what? Like, you're doing something major that got the whole world talking. WWE named it its greatest heel turn of all time, which we all know is bull. So it was just but again, we spoke about it. We speak about it in the review with no DQ and all that. WWE is all about the moment. They don't care about like I mentioned earlier, the road to the match. They don't care even about the match. They just care about the moment, dropping from the top of the Hell in a Cell, from the stage, a fire explosion, or whatever it is. They care for the moment. So all their eyes were like, Cena turns heel. All right, now what? And then for Cena just to be there, like, yeah, I did what the company told me to do. It's like, come on, man. It's your retirement tour. And with the pull that man had, being there for over 20 years, I'm sure he could have gone to Hunter and been like, look, let's try this or something. And I'm sure, and again, with his back against the wall too, again, this is where the sympathy comes in for Hunter. He would have been like, oh yeah. What plans do you have? But from what Cena said, he just rolled with the punches, and that was disappointing. Like, this is your last goodbye. I think Dave said it. This is your final tour, your final matches. I just hope I hoped he would have grown a spine and been like, all right, if this is it, let's go all out. All right, let me clear my schedule. Let me see if I can get more dates in. And then who am I going to face? This guy. All right, let's meet and do our promo battles. And that interview was so disappointing to hear, because I could not believe that in his last year, Cena was just like, well, I just did what the company told me to do. It's like, I get it, John. You're loyal. You're literally, it's in your shirts and everything. You're a loyal guy. Great. God bless you. It's hard to find people loyal like that to a company, but come on, your final year should have been more active, should have been pushed more, and sit in those creative meetings. Like, imagine Cena and the creative team thinking of all these great things, but no. And that was really disappointing because after what we saw of his tour, and then I saw that interview, it all made sense. Like, man, they didn't put the effort in. And this is where they should have gone fifth gear in effort. The final tour of what you say is the greatest of all time, even though it's Bret Hart, but the greatest of all time, the effort was minimum or not even there. So that was my the lowest of the lows of like Cena not either pushing back or just going like, yeah, I'll do that. And it was just bad because again, we saw what happened and now we now know why it was what it was.
Okay. Thankfully, I've had some time to breathe and compose myself. And then you said Cena needed to grow a spine. And then thankfully, you gave me more time to breathe and compose myself since then. I will say,
I try, man. I try.
Yeah. I will say the turn was great. And there is no debate about that. But the debate is for his heel run, for sure. The turn was epic all time. Like, it was talked about everywhere, all that stuff. You know, he's always been a company guy. He'll always say yes, which is why it's always bothered me that people were like, he doesn't put anybody over and he's super seen. It's like, he just goes with what the people who above him tell him to do. And that's what you would want in a good, loyal soldier, a good one. And he's always there. He's always showing up, really never making mistakes. The two times he went into business for himself that he's talked about was he called out The Rock for having writing his promo on his wrist, which he regrets doing, not because it's scumbaggy, but because he now knows how difficult that is when you're focusing on all your other lines and all your other things. But the one time during this run that he did something without permission was the AJ Styles announcement, which we all agree was great. But he still felt like he was bad. He felt bad. And then he was like, if I had told them about it, maybe they could have made a bigger deal out of it. Maybe it could have been even better. So he's just kind of that guy. And I think that if there was really something he was against, he would have stuck up for it. At the end, we got him back face. People were wanting to cheer him. We got him back. People didn't believe it. I was the only person in No DQ that was like, nah, this is real. I know it feels like it's fake and he's just setting us up. But then when SummerSlam hit and the colors came back, and then we had that entrance and nobody chanting Cena sucks, John Cena. Nobody was chanting that anymore during his entrance. And they were until he turned heel and obviously when he was heel. So that I think alone is why I enjoy that. But thank you so much, Oofman. I really appreciate that. Now I'm going to throw it over to Noah, just in case we didn't miss anything on this bad, this red, this low tier. And what sticks out to you about the bad, not necessarily bad from Cena, but the bad way that the booking or the storylines have been going with his sphere of influence? Take it away.
Jeez, good grief. You gave a list longer than a list of Jericho or the lexicon of Jericho there. But I definitely agree with the momentum versus the moment. The moment itself, Elimination Chamber, led so much what if on what this year could have been for what we wanted to see out of John Cena since 2012, in many people's opinion. Incredible moment, but this is what WWE is. They're about moments. They're not about momentum, and they darn sure aren't about the matches. So I think that definitely was a letdown.
Amen.
So I wonder if Dwayne The Rock Johnson was more involved in the approach to WrestleMania without rapper never be named. What would have John Cena's later outlook have been? And at the end of the day, is Cody Rhodes trying to be the next John Cena? Let's go, Cody. Cody sucks. But for half the time that John Cena has been involved in professional wrestling under the WWE banner, just saying. When I look at John Cena's run versus other people that retire, I look at Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace that recognized the GOAT. Tanahashi had probably close to 200 dates. He was involved in every major event. He was involved in every major tournament. He not only wrestled the current regime, he also wrestled the future regime across all weight classes and endorsed them. And he's the freaking president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, by the way, right now. And they got more new generation talent right there going than most companies right here in the United States. Put that perspective, by choice. But it's just one of those things right now, looking at John Cena's run, I think about momentum versus moment. There were a lot of fun moments, but what momentum came from them versus the people he faced outside Cody Rhodes, it's very big. Your point, Soruka. She's feuding right now with Zarya. She had a chance for the Women's Championship, not once, but twice. She was part of the final three for the Women's Royal Rumble. Lost. And now she's not even in the NXT Women's Championship conversation. She's going to stand and deliver against her former tag team partner. Another example of Shawn Michaels versus Mario Gianelli, where WWE does not know what tag team wrestling is for the women. Insert number of times here that we've done the championships. As far as other people, I mean, again, everyone else, nostalgia. Randy Orton, he's the last of the original class. Now we're going to see if he gets number 15, and can he surpass number 17? Can he get to number 17? But in this day and age where it's okay to be the villain and cheer for the villain versus the biggest babyface, it's almost like you literally rearrange the ecosystem where nothing is normal and you just go along with it. And I think that's another thing here. TKO is complacent because as long as the money keeps coming in, whether or not it's a waterfall or it's a leaky faucet, they're not going to do anything to improve it. Look at WrestleMania, like you said, the ticket sales. At the end of the day, the word of the day with John Cena's bad is momentum. You had the moments, but you lacked the momentum. Yes, you got those big three. Oba, Trick, Javon. Oba's going to WrestleMania. Trick's not there yet. Javon's not there yet. And John Cena was not in the ring with any of those men, nor did those names come out of his mouth except Javon Evans. When Trick Williams faced John Cena and said, "We need to do it with your time," we never heard an outcome of that. The fact that last year's retirement tour gave more to be continued than a Pokemon episode with far less direction, as much as I hate to give the series credit during its crazy-ass long longevity, is absolutely insane to me, considering he was your guy. You couldn't give him creative control for one show more than Saturday Night's Main Event to really push forward the future and other faces to see and faces that could go over. You couldn't give him more dates to give us more towards NXT. Maybe he runs an NXT episode. Maybe he faces somebody in an NXT ring on an NXT PLE. You couldn't give more to John Cena, maybe going after a different championship, not the Intercontinental Championship, just for the Grand Slam, just to see what this person is all about. I really feel like, again, the quantity was very diminished, which led to an underwhelming momentum in the quality. And I think that in hindsight really sums up everything that you said. To dissect each thing that you went through and to go through other stuff that I could add to it, you'll be on this podcast, episode 30, for another hour, and I'm not going to do that to you. But bottom line, momentum versus moment. They favor moment more than momentum, and it's biting them in the butt in 2026.
Thank you very much, Noah. Because of your selflessness with our time, I won't tell you how disappointed I am that you seemingly have trashed Pokemon twice in the last 8 days while on stream. I will forgive you for that. To each their own. But seriously, you're absolutely right. The momentum versus the moment. Like, it seems like WWE would much rather tout how many people view their moments on X, YouTube, whatever
Good or
other
bad,
platform.
by the way. Hey, Jey Uso, how you doing?
Yep. Actually, I kind of think that maybe if he can turn heel with what he's doing, maybe something happens. But you're absolutely right. Again, that like they didn't have. They're not into building momentum. We do have those 3 names, those 4 names that you mentioned. Cena was never in the ring with. Like, for all the times he's spoken out so much that he wanted to give back, to the point where he had the only thing that he asked for during the run was that his final match be on a card with a bunch of up-and-comers stars. Like, he probably wanted to get in the ring with Oba. I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to get in the ring with Oba, but he probably wanted to get in the ring with Trick. He wanted to get in the ring with Javon.
Yeah, get promo segments with these people face to face. Could have given something.
100%. And so thank you so much, Noah. And thank you again to Oofman. We're able to go longer today and moving forward because of our man on the ones and twos. So thank you so much for that. And I'm going to throw it over now to Dave, because I like making C-Rod wait. And Dave, we're going to see, there was so much to talk about as far as the bad. And I did add in the lack of matches with new talent that Noah mentioned. I did add in that Cena's actual heel run in the bad category, because I understand I'm alone in defending that. Believe me, I wish it was better, but I will still defend it because, again, I'm biased. What stands out to you about the bad, the sphere of influence that happened with Cena? Again, some things that he did during his heel run, like working with Randy and things like that. I think those were good things, but overall, you know, I understand the heel run wasn't working for people. What stands out to you?
Well, I bet I'm gonna mention a couple things that no one thought about. I hope at least. But one thing that, like Noah said, less showing up equals kill momentum. The no story and going for the moment kills momentum, and that's what happened. But my number one bad, and it's going to tie in with Gunther. It's two parts. The first part is the tournament. There should have been no tournament, which may have given some time to build Gunther and Cena, because we all, as Aaron would say on No DQ, even Stevie Wonder saw it coming, that Gunther was going to be that his last match. So that's my number one bad. My other bad is, and it's been mentioned several times, including Noah, Sol Ruka. That match on his last night against Bailey was amazing. I thought it was a great match. That should have built to something. Got third in the Rumble. You know, she was looking good. And now it seems like they've killed her momentum. And I'm not sure why, because I think she'd be phenomenal. I don't know if it's because maybe she moves like Tiffany with all the flips and everything. But, I mean, I love the finisher on her with her. I just think she needs to be built up and brought up to the main roster. My next bad is going to be a surprise to people, probably. It's going to be Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn him and Sami had that great match, and Sami said he wanted to give Cena the match because he gave Sami his first match on the roster. But where has Sami gone since then? Sami is pretty much, he's on TV a lot, but I want to be the champion. I want to be the champ. We've been hearing this for a year now, and that's all you see. And now you're starting to see a possible heel turn with him, because he's nice on one hand, then he starts beating up the locker room in the back after Cody or whoever he's talking to leaves. But I think Sami, ever since that match with Cena, has gone downhill. He just has, I don't know what's going on, but I think of anybody's momentum, it was killed. His wasn't. I don't know why. I think everybody's talking about him waiting for Saudi next year. I'm not sure, because they can't bring Sami into Saudi as a heel, even though he still would go over face over there. Because he's now coming across as a whiny character, but not as tough as Drew. Drew can whine, and he's as tough as nails.
Or
and
Bret Hart,
Sami's just coming up.
Or Bret Hart in 97. Hey.
Very true. He's not as tough as Bret Hart was either. It's just, I just think Sami hasn't seen anything since that match. I mean, he hasn't really been involved. I know his heyday was the Bloodline, obviously. His heyday was winning the title with KO. But he'd been preaching, and usually when you see people mentioning things, it usually at least comes up to fruition. But since then, how many matches has he lost to Drew? He's lost several more matches and has never won against him. And I just think his momentum's died. So I think that's on the bad side. I think even Jimmy, even though he may be in his comfort zone, or I'm sorry, Jay's in his comfort zone with the tag team now, but Cena put him over by taking the Rumble, and when he took the Rumble and threw him out, and then got championship gold. But I think Jay's getting a backlash from people, and not literally saying that we're going to be at Backlash in May, but he's getting a backlash from the fans, and I think it's because everybody was so ticked off that they had him tap out Gunther, which we've talked about since they happened. That was probably the wrong way for him to beat Gunther, because it made Gunther look weak at that point, and he tapped out so quick. But those are my main bads, Gino.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm in the middle of adding the that tapping out to the list, because you're absolutely right. Like that that definitely shouldn't have happened, and that does go to the sphere of influence for Cena. I do want to touch on the tournament. Now, I know I'm probably in the minority here, but it's often lonely being right. I think that the tournament did work for me because we got meaningful matches. Even if some people are going to say it's time filler, we all knew it was coming to Gunther. We got Cardona, we got Dolph Ziggler. We had people like who all had a stake to who had a reason to claim that they deserved to be Cena's last match. The Miz, Rusev, all these guys. I mean, it probably should not have been Rusev and things like that, but like all these guys had history with him to the point where Cena's using some of their moves in that AJ Styles classic and all of those things. Now, I also agree with you about Sammy's definitely been floundering. No, he shouldn't have beaten Drew. If he does turn heel with Karrion Kross 2.0, otherwise known as Aleister Black. I'm sorry, Noah. I know Aleister Black predates Karrion Kross, but they're very clearly doing what they wanted to do with Karrion Kross with Aleister Black.
That's why I'm just like accurate. Good Lord.
And so if he does turn heel, like there is a Saudi show, Crown Jewel, before WrestleMania, so he will definitely be faced by the time Crown Jewel rolls around. And then,
will it happen is the question.
If they do the same thing with Aleister Black that they did with Karrion Kross, they might as well kick him off TV as well, because Karrion Kross couldn't turn a freaking pancake over to the dark side, let alone who did he try? He tried it with Xavier Woods, and then that went nowhere. He tried it with Sami Zayn, that went nowhere. He tried it with all these guys, and it just didn't go anywhere. And then they have the unmitigated gall to be like, yeah, he's just not over, even though he's a top merch seller going into WrestleMania. Oh, and then he had a decent match, okay, whatever, at SummerSlam. Oh no, well, he's not that good at like, come on, like at least let his influence of them actually turn somebody, like do something with it. But we know that WWE likes to look ahead, but don't want to plan for that destination so well. So they were like, well, we can't break up the New Day because we need to have them turn heel on Big E and blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, then don't set it up. Like, because
that fell apart too.
it did. And
just have done nothing but sucked, honestly. I mean, I was like, bathroom break, WrestleMania 41, War Raiders and New Day. Why is this here and not the SmackDown Tag Division?
I completely agree. And honestly, matter of factly, there's a lot of tag teams that I don't care how good they are in the ring. I just genuinely don't care about. So at least I care about Truth and Priest. And rumor is that Priest, I mean, I don't know if I believe this, but Priest's reaction to winning was because they didn't tell him that they were going to win. Like, and so they, that type of situation, just sit in the corner and wait for the finish type of thing. And I don't know if I believe what I read on the internet and especially what I see on Facebook. Certainly don't believe everything that I see there. But that could be
Gino.
Yes, sir.
Gino, I did one more thing that I had to go back and I'll let C-Rod take over, but it could be good or mid, but I should have mentioned R-Truth because I think not only the people, the fans, but I think if it wasn't for Cena and that tour, R-Truth may not be working for WWE right now.
You're absolutely right, and that's one of the things I had in the good section, that R-Truth is back with the company. Whether or not he left, like I know there was some discrepancy there, but so thank you so much for that, Dave, Noah, the Oofman. Now we're gonna throw it over to C-Rod. C-Rod, you've had plenty of time to cheat off of our papers and our tests to give your answer. Let's see if you changed it just enough to not get called for plagiarizing. What stands out to you? There's so much that you could argue with what they're doing is bad with the rubs, but it also speaks to the fact that he did give a rub to so many people during his retirement tour, and maybe that should go into the good, but they're not doing a lot of good stuff with some of these people. So what sticks out to you the most?
Yeah. So what I'm going to say is moments don't matter without momentum. No, I truly firmly believe that, but all of you have said the same thing, but it's so true. Right now, it feels like more than ever, WWE is collecting moments for social media, and they're not building stars. Their roster right now has so many wrestlers over the age of 40. And I will say this until I am blue in the face. There is not enough time for all of these wrestlers. I mean, during this conversation, you guys have said you've wanted to see LA Knight win a championship, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, we can keep going, CM Punk and Randy Orton. There's just not enough, Roman Reigns, why doesn't he have the belt again? There's just not enough time to have all of these people winning championships. So it's either one, they have to cut the roster, two, they have to add more time to their shows, make their PLEs longer, add more than 4 matches. I don't know what it is. Or three, make these belt changes happen quicker. No more 300-day title reigns. You know, maybe it's 2-month, 3-month day, 2 or 3 month title reigns, kind of like back in the Attitude Era day where titles were changing hands all the time. But for me, the BAD
almost every pay-per-view they changed hands.
Exactly. And not even just every pay-per-view. It was also happening on random Raws and SmackDowns all the time. And if you're not going to do that, if you're going to go for these 6-month to a year title reigns, there's just not going to be enough time to push all of these guys over 40, right? Because now Randy Orton's going to be on his way out soon. He said he wants to go till 50. We'll see. CM Punk says he might be done in the next 2 or 3 years. Seth Rollins, you know, he's starting to break down. How much time does he have left? Ray's going to retire. You know, the same thing with
retired.
He should be retired. I don't know why Ray still even gets TV time anymore. But, you know, when I think about Sol Ruca, I've loved everything I've seen about her, but Tiffany's back, right? Roxanne Perez is coming back. All of a sudden, they have both Bella twins back that need time now. AJ Lee is back. Becky Lynch is on every show.
Carefully,
Sorry,
trigger
Sorry,
with the Bellas.
This realm of WWE brought to you by AARP.
That's so that's what I'm saying. And, you know, now they're wasting time with Maxine and Natty. Nobody cares about Natty. Nobody cares.
That's double hate.
No, I would stand on that. Maybe.
Natty is different than Natalia. I will say
We'll
that.
We'll talk off camera. Moving on.
But would you rather see Sol Ruca or another version of Natalia?
So
Well,
Why not?
Sol
Why not,
Ruca.
why not Natty versus Sol Ruca? Hey,
Yeah, why not that?
Fine, but
Natty
now
would
we're
put her
seeing
over.
Maxine and Natty for what? For the 3rd or 4th time?
Well, I mean, I mean, I guess you're right.
You're
They
right.
are starting and stopping with Maxine, but please continue.
They need to end it. Yeah, go on, T-Rock.
Calm down, gentlemen. Let him continue.
With so many call-ups, you know, they have to keep some. I mean, let's talk about Royce Keys. They brought this guy in, haven't seen him since the Rumble. They don't know what to do with him. They don't have a spot for him. With so many call-ups in NXT, they have to keep some people down, maybe. But if they bring Sol Ruca up, where does she fit in? Who loses time? It's, you know, we're going to have to wait. Now, the Bella twins are saying they're going to be done in 2 years. They signed a 2-year contract. The next 2 to 3 years of WWE, I feel, are going to be very stagnant. And it's going to be, here's a star, but let's say goodbye, you know, to this old star. Here's a star, but let's say goodbye to this old star. And until these 40-plus-year-old wrestlers are all kind of gone, and it's like, okay, here's the 20-year-olds that can take the torch and run with it truly. I think we're gonna see the same thing over.
Well,
SmackDown
needs women though, because they're having to bring Rhea in there to face Jay because they have nobody.
Exactly.
Yeah, the NXT women's division is so top tier to me that they could make these things here and there. But to your point, what do you do with Rhea? What do you do with Io? They need time too. And Io hasn't really even been on screen. Then they're pushing the Kabuki Warriors. Again, I could sit here and make every argument that there's not enough time, and it's not a bad problem. It's just, how do you please everybody? But they're not making any momentum for anyone. So at the same time, they're not making momentum, but they have all these pieces. It's really a cluster F right now. For me though, I think it was Oofman who said it, that when John Cena, he had a lack of dates. I don't think that John Cena had a lack of dates. Like Gino said, we had got a ton of matches from him. I just think that the first half of his time was wasted. That
Agreed.
Transition from heel, where did The Rock go, to then just coming on and saying the same thing about how he has this bad relationship with the fans. I mean, there was a solid 5 weeks of Cena that was it was wasted. There was nothing going on. And then all of a sudden towards the end, they're like, oh, well, maybe we have some ideas. Bad writing, bad planning. I put it on TKO. I think that going to Hunter and saying anything is probably useless because ultimately TKO has the last say. Now, I think that if Vince was still in charge during Cena's final run, things could have been completely different. Vince would have given Cena the world, given him anything. If he wants 362 5 days or 2 days or however many dates he wants, he would have got them all. The other thing that I think we touched on was Dom. So a year ago at next WrestleMania is when they announced the acquisition of AAA. Dom was so on fire. He had so much heat when he won the title at WrestleMania. The crowd went crazy for him, but then they pulled him to AAA. And he lost all of his momentum in WWE because he wasn't on TV anymore. He was having storylines off, fighting with his other belt and having these storylines that we're not seeing in WWE. And then all of a sudden he's back, you know, just to have Valentine's Day with Liv Morgan. And you're just like, okay, why
can't
is
blame
this
him.
relationship? Yeah, I can't blame him. No, I can't blame him
the
too.
Valentine's Day date was more over than Jay Cargill. What does that tell you?
Moreover than Austin Theory.
Okay, Psycho Jet Black, let him finish.
Damn it, Dave, you friggin' idiot. Continue, C-Rod.
The point just being they should have kept Dom featured when he had his titles, when he had his momentum, instead of splitting him. And I feel like that is truly what has hurt him. The last thing I'll say is, you know, Raquel Rodriguez, she looks strong for weeks. I have loved everything that I've seen from her since she came back. She has looked like a beast. She's looked like the big sexy that they're touting her as. She's looked very strong, very dominant. I thought she should have beat Stephanie. I was surprised that she didn't. That's neither here nor there. I think that WWE is very predictable, like we've already talked about, and they need to start throwing in unpredictability. But for Stephanie, I look at Stephanie's run the same way as I looked at Tiffany's run. Very stale. Stephanie had a lot of momentum, a four-time champion or 4 different titles in 1 year. You know, nobody's ever done that in the WWE. And then she comes in and she has these really, again, there's no momentum in any of her feuds. She's not having these high-profile feuds. All of a sudden, she's in her best one because it's with Liv Morgan. I really do hope that Liv beats Stephanie at WrestleMania, and then that turns into Raquel getting her spotlight and hopefully, you know, feuding with Liv and the breakup of Judgment Day. Who knows what happens when Roxanne comes back? Maybe she ties into that, and that's where the breakup fully goes. I don't know. But that's, you know, we've been harping on this, and we've been talking way over time than the typical 30-minute episodes. But I think those are a lot of the bads. But my biggest bad is just TKO needs to do better in the content that they're giving us instead of just, oh, hey, here's Danhausen again so we can get a social media clip. Here's Danhausen again so we can get a social media clip. And they need to actually give us storylines that we can follow and enjoy and change the pace up, make things unpredictable, give other people the championship a little bit more than, you know, Cody Rhodes for the second or third time in 16 months.
Be more about talent versus business and profit.
Yeah. Thank you so much, C-Rod, again. This is why I love having a panel of you guys, especially you four in particular. You're sharing these thoughts and ideas. You're you know, not like going against me, but you're sharing your ideas that might be different than what I think and from what each other thinks. And that's super helpful. I will say, Danhausen, I think Danhausen is really working. So I'm sorry it's not working for you. I do think that if they keep repeating that,
I love Danhausen. I texted you and I said that. They're using him for just social media clips. That was my point.
Sure. And I feel like WWE doesn't think anybody that's ever been in AEW actually knows how to wrestle, which is funny because I'm sure our man Noah would be happy to educate TKO on what professional wrestling actually looks like. Yes.
Yeah, but it looks like competition to the highest degree of trying to prove you're the absolute best besides trying to be an actor or an actress on something that feels like reality.
And as a recently new fan of reality TV shows like The Traitors and things like that, I am here for it, but there needs to be that healthy balance. I saw Evan, one of the guys on No DQ. He's an author, he's a producer, he's a movie maker, all that stuff. He mentioned that there was maybe like something infinitesimally small about the amount of wrestling that was on the 2.5-hour show of Raw last on Monday. So I can't remember the exact number. It was like 28 minutes or something like that. And that speaks to Noah's point about, you do need to have a healthy balance of that. And it speaks to C-Rod's point about maybe there's not enough time for some of the people and things like that. But when you say Raquel not beating Stephanie is neither here nor there, I would say it's very much here because she should have beat her, and we should have a better storyline that already has the momentum.
I agree totally.
I mean, she got 3 eliminations for a reason in the Elimination Chamber, and the fact that they are revisiting the person that she beat for the NXT Women's Championship next week on Raw, I think speaks volumes to the stock that they want us to believe they're putting in Raquel versus what we know Raquel's stock is. Again, conversation for another day, but continue.
Right. And as far as Maxine and Soul, there is momentum into the story of Natty training Maxine and whatever, but I think Soul is better than Maxine in arguably every way possible. So, I mean, you could theoretically have her versus Natty and make that be way more entertaining and put her over. Natty ain't winning. So yeah, C-Rod. So Oofman is one of Natalia's and the whole Hart family's like biggest fan. He is also one of the biggest haters of the Bella twins. So you kind of hit him with the 1-2 punch. My man on the 1s and 2s got hit with the 1-2 punch. But I will say you said that, and it's going to sound like I'm being long-winded here, but without considering Elimination Chamber, because you got to have 2 of those really long matches, male and female, same with Royal Rumble, same with Survivor Series War Games, and Saturday night's main events are only at a maximum of 2 hours. I think they went a little longer because now they're not on NBC, they're on Peacock. But yeah, those are 4 match premium live events, but you're careful what you wish for because WrestleMania last year had 14 matches. So you're going to get at least 7 matches a night coming up here at the end of April.
And only 6 overall were worthwhile. Excuse me, I have the wrestling Tourette.
Yeah. So with that being said, thank you so much, guys, for coming on and sharing. Oh, Noah's watching something in AEW just happened that he's happy with. Noah, would you like to break the news here?
I'm watching it too on my cell phone.
Yeah.
Angel cover to Kenny Omega's #1 contender.
Kenny B.
And that is great for AEW. AEW seems to be doing what they're supposed to be doing with their stars, especially MJF. He should have never lost the title, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. That's a video for another day. I'm going to throw it around the horn, and we will get our plugs, and we will let us all go to doing what it is that we would like to do, whether that's watching more professional wrestling or anything else with our lives. So I'm going to throw it over to Noah first. Noah, thank you so much. My predictions partner, my man with the plan, the simple man, the best dressed man, talking professional wrestling. How many more things can I do to drag this out even longer for him so he can't get to AEW? Noah, where can the people find you?
It's always a pleasure, Gino. I'm happy to collab with anyone that has a positive, open-minded outlook on the professional wrestling business. If folks want to further engage with me, find me if you choose and in Foster 1916 on the X and on YouTube. For I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! Tomorrow we got upcoming interview with talent from the Title Match Network, so please stay tuned for more on that on my civil YouTube channel. They'll also be sleep predicting for our TNA Sacrifice. We'll be covering that also on Friday. This weekend we'll be covering MLP ROH Global Wars, and of course you can stay tuned for the weekly Marvel Conversation Wrestling Madness, known as the Saturday Shenanigans, hosted by Regular Wrestling, JJ Williams. And until the review, this forum or a different forum where me and Gino break it all down with predictions post-mortem following AEW Dynasty, I'll see you in and out of the internet on YouTube, where I only wish to remind you and encourage you to just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling too. It's as simple as that.
Thank you very much, Noah. Dave, I know you don't really have a lot to plug, but where can the people find you if they would like to hear more?
Thank you, Gino. I'm on Facebook. On Instagram, don't post much there though, but I just want to plug all you guys and all your channels. Keep an eye out on Oofman's channel, Gabbing with Oofman. Keep an eye out on Gino with Major Push Wrestling and others. Keep a definite eye out on Noah. He does a great job in watching all the wrestling and having the best knowledge I know of anybody who watches wrestling.
Yeah,
and also C-Rod too with your channel with the the Get Help for Men. You guys do a great job, and just everybody watch them and give them all thumbs ups.
Thank you so much. And we'll throw it over to C-Rod to correctly, accurately plug his show for us. That
I'm
Dave,
sorry about
No,
that.
you're fine,
I
Dave.
messed up the name.
No, you're fine. He mentioned it like in the first 5 minutes of the show. So yeah, don't worry. C-Rod, where can the people find that awesome podcast that you do that I also
Dave,
was a guest on?
Noah, I love Noah. I love everything about what he's doing here. So as we've already mentioned before, C-Rod at Crods Pod. You can follow us on TikTok or Instagram. It is about mental health, not just men, women too. We have bi-weekly guests. We are out every Thursday morning. You can listen to us anywhere that you get your streaming platform. We also post videos on YouTube and Spotify as well. It's the You Good podcast, the podcast where oversharing is encouraged and the thoughts get real. Mental health is a really big thing in my life, in our world, and I think that there's a lot of just trash out there on social media, and if I can just talk about good and put out there to the world, that's what we're looking to do. So at Crods Pod, the You Good podcast, I'm here semi-frequently on Gino, but this is the only place you'll hear me talk wrestling. I love Gino, and I love being on Major Push Wrestling. And I love being a part of the longest episode of Major Push Wrestling history. So thank you to everybody here, Oofman, Noah, Dave, Gino. This has been a great episode.
Been a pleasure, C-Rod. And as one that also endorses a proverb called protect your mentality and treasure your families, I absolutely applaud and respect you in the podcast endeavor that you pursue. And I wish you nothing but the best with it. And who knows, one day would love to be part of it.
I appreciate it, brother.
Most definitely. I 100% agree.
Absolutely. And guys, I will be for all you guys watching and listening, I will have all of their @ and all of their links and everything in the description of this video on YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Once this is over, go give them a follow, go give them a like, go give them a subscribe, whatever the terminology is for wherever you can find them. And speaking of which, we all of this episode, especially all to Oofman today. Obviously, everybody brought their A game and was happy to go long, and because we had a big discussion that we needed to have today, and there was no time constraints. Thank you to the man on the ones and twos. Thank you to putting up with me trashing on your sports team, and I look forward to doing many, many, many more of these this way, and maybe we can even get it live sooner rather than later.
Oh,
Oofman,
absolutely, yeah.
Where can the people find you?
Check me out on YouTube. Oofman Entertainment presents my series, Gavin with Oof. I do pop culture. I talk wrestling. I talk music. You're going to see I have some shows with some special guests, especially the man who led the panel today, Mr. Gino. We've talked a lot. My latest video that will debut on Friday night. We talked about both of our love for the Power Rangers. First, I did a first video of my love of it because, long story short, Super Sentai, the source material for Power Rangers in America, is going on a hiatus. And over 50 years, they've been producing their shows. And then in 93, the Power Rangers were created in America. But for the first time, like I said, in over 50 years, Super Sentai is ceasing production. So we don't know how long they're going to go. They said they're just taking a break. We were on a break. If you know what that is, Google it, kids. They're going on break. We don't know when they're going to return. So is this the end of the Power Rangers? I addressed that in my video. And in the follow-up video in part 2, Gino and I discussed the 2017 Power Rangers movie, the remake. Was it really that bad as people say? Or did we miss something? Or did we cloud it with our own judgments of the TV show? You're going to have to check it out on, like I said, Friday night. Episode 16, Sweet 16 will debut of Gavin with Oof, talking about the 2017 Power Rangers movie, which came out 9 years ago this month. So Gino and I could not have timed it better. And again, a thanks for Gino for joining me on my shows and for everybody joining us tonight. And again, it's my pleasure to share our technology, our love of wrestling. And we said it earlier in the chat, we're not in competition. Me and Gino's shows are completely different from each other. We have a strong passion for pop culture. So we come together, we gab, we yell, we scream, we get angry, we roll up our sleeves. But we do it because we have a love of a fandom of something. And I can tell right here with this panel, we have a love for wrestling. And look at that. We're closing in on almost 2 hours, which was awesome. And again, Gino and I, our lawyers met earlier. They had lunch. We got a good deal going on. The contract goes till the year 2035, but we'll talk about that later. But the agreement is we're sharing our talents and our technology for our art. This is art. And again, Gino, you do great on your Major Push Wrestling channel. And again, I always thank you for coming on my channel. And again, everybody's welcome to come on whenever I have a topic that I might think like, hey, maybe C-Rod and I will do a Liv Morgan video because she is my Jersey girl. Hey, so anyway,
Hey,
but
And then we'll fist fight for her.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oof, I'd like to be on. I don't know anything about Power Rangers, but there's other things I do know about. So
sure, yeah,
anytime you want, I'll be happy to be on.
absolutely.
I'm sure you can
And
gab about absolutely anything. There's always something to talk
there's always
about.
something.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's always something to talk about. And so again, thanks,
Collaboration
Gino.
over competition.
Exactly. So again, thanks for having me on your show because this is your show. So thank you so much. And again, it's just what we'd like to do. We like to gab, we like to talk, but mostly, I don't know about you guys, but I love it when Gino rants. When he goes on a rant, I sit back and I
It's
go,
just very entertaining.
it is entertaining.
And
So again, thank you guys
engaging.
for everything. Very.
And thank you guys. The reason why I invited you all here is because I also enjoy hearing all of your rants. And yes, this episode is the longest one. It might hold that record for the foreseeable longer than somebody holds the WWE Championship. That's for sure. So we
Perhaps.
will close this out, letting you guys all know to go like and subscribe to everybody. Also like and subscribe to this channel for more. I really appreciate your viewership and support. And, from C-Rod to Oofman to Dave to Noah, we all appreciate it. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, folks.